Air Berlin, Alitalia, and now Monarch Airlines. It's been a rough summer for Europe's budget carriers. UK-based Monarch has become the latest victim of intense competition. It's gone into receivership. More than 100,000 of its passengers have been affected, and despite protection by the UK's tour operators group, not all of them will be compensated for ruined holidays. Sarah Morice is at Monarch's headquarters in Luton and sent this report.
Well, we're standing outside Luton Airport, which is just to the north of London, and you can probably see behind me here two Monarch planes that are parked up there on the tarmac. Understandably, they haven't moved the entire time we've been here. But interestingly, around 100 or so metres away is the headquarters for Monarch Airlines. That's now been completely taken over by the administrators, who say the airline simply wasn't viable. One of the reasons being the devaluation of the pound, but the other one, quite interesting, being terrorism. Terror attacks in Tunisia, in Turkey and also in Egypt put off potential holidaymakers going to those destinations. Problem was that was one of the key routes, or a few of the key routes for Monarch Airlines. So they stopped flying there quite as often. Instead, they were looking for more popular destinations like Spain. The problem being too many airlines were already flying into places like Spain.
It's operating in a very competitive market with overcapacity. Prices for the flights had been steadily dropping, so its income was reduced materially from the previous year.
But of course, when an airline like this does fall over, it's the staff who are perhaps most seriously impacted. 2,100 people were working for Monarch, and they've now been told that they no longer have jobs. The news was delivered to them in an email early in the morning on Monday, and they arrived at the headquarters for a meeting with the administrators. It was a fairly emotional time for them.
Yes, it was a complete and utter shock. I'm still in shock now. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Apart from loss of family and an airline, it's financial as well. I've got 3 children, and it's the impact on everything, absolutely everything.
And so now we're seeing the biggest repatriation process in the UK in peacetime. Around 30 planes have been chartered to fly home all those passengers who were already overseas, who'd flown with Monarch Airlines and were trying to fly with Monarch Airlines back to the UK. They will be looked after. Perhaps the hardest hit people by this disaster when it comes to passengers are those who'd booked flights to go overseas with Monarch. Of course, their flights are no longer going. They're looking now at how they may be compensated, because they will have to buy flights with other airlines. Some of them will be covered by insurance, but of course there will be some who will not get their money back.
Let's get more on this now from Neil Wilson, Senior Market Analyst at ETX Capital in London. Neil, great to have you on the show. Looks like we've got ourselves a modern-day Dunkirk operation on the Spanish Riviera there. What went wrong with Monarch? Was it simply a convergence, a perfect storm of external events, or could the management have done better?
Well, I think the market conditions have been incredibly tough for Monarch. I mean, this is a sector-wide issue in the short-haul European market, where there's just too much capacity, and it's overly aggressive pricing as competitors vie for market share. I mean, Monarch's been facing troubles for a few years now. It's had cash injected into it a couple of times. The writing's been on the wall for a while. I think partly that is to do with the fact that it was coming out. It used to be a sort of package tour operator mainly, and it's trying to move forward onto a more budget airline type model, and it's struggled to do that. And I think, as your report suggested, it's all about the effect of terrorism in its key markets, where it was earning more money, and being forced to compete in the very sort of cutthroat Spanish market made it very difficult.
Right, Neil, so we've had 2 other airlines also going into receivership this summer. Who might be next?
Well, I don't think I'd like to speculate on that, but I think there are clearly concerns that there's too many operators. It's too fragmented. We know that the big operators like IAG and Lufthansa are very keen to see more consolidation. I think it's something that probably the industry needs. It would help to offset some of the pricing pressures. I think we could maybe see, prices stabilise and be more sustainable, because at the moment, really, these airlines are fighting so hard for market share that they're cutting prices too much. And if oil prices begin to tick up as they have done, then there could be more problems ahead.
Neil Wilson, ETX Capital in London, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.